E-handelsbolaget Haypp Group rusar 10% efter att ha vänt till vinst i kvartalet. Rörelseresultatet landade på 9,6 miljoner kronor och det är att jämföra med förlust på 4 miljoner i fjol. Vi ska nu prata med vd Gavin O'Dowd som är med oss på länk. Good morning, Gavin.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Happy to have you with us. You turned around to a profit of 9.6 million crowns in the quarter. It looks like a strong report overall. Can you summarize the quarter and what's behind these strong results?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think the key driving factor for our business, and has been for many years, is the nicotine pouch performance that we've seen across all of our markets, where it continues to grow exceptionally well. And we've seen 43% year-on-year growth in our nicotine pouch volumes. While we've been performing quite well in our core markets of Sweden and Norway with leading stores such as Bolaget, and we saw over 30% year-on-year growth in there, I think what really drives us forward now is the growth that we're seeing in what we call our growth markets. This is the US, the UK, and German-speaking Europe, where we've seen exceptional growth and continued acceleration in our growth rates in those markets. So in the US, for example, which is the largest of those, we've seen over 70% year-on-year growth in our volumes for the US. So that in itself is driving forward some excellent top line. And when it comes to our profitability, we've seen our growth markets move into profitability in Q1 and continue to improve in Q2 as they've reached a sufficient scale, and those benefits of scale are dropping down to the bottom line. So we've been quite happy with that, manifesting in a 68% growth in our profitability over the quarter relative to Q2 last year also. So in general, I think we're quite happy with the overall performance and how it's going, and particularly happy with the stability of how our growth rates has been within the nicotine pouch space for all of the last 3 years.
Yeah, and everything does look good. Your earnings per share, however, is zero. Why is that? What happened between the top line and the bottom line?
Yeah, so our adjusted EBIT is actually quite robust for the quarter. We did have one item which we took through as an exceptional for this quarter, which is where we had a scheme where we took some money from the P&L as a part of an incentive structure, and then that money reverted through external management team and then came back into the company again through the equity piece. So from a cash perspective, it's not really having an impact, but just with the way some of the accounting rules works, there was an adjustment there during Q2 on it. But the adjusted EPS remains very solid and continues to grow quite exceptionally as we go through it, over 40 million of adjusted EBIT coming through for the quarter.
Your share price has now more than doubled this year and also doesn't seem to be too affected by the recent market turbulence, the recession fears in the US. You mentioned that that's an important market to you. So what's your outlook there on demand given the recent worries?
So you can see this, and you can see this looking back at our performance as well for other markets where there's been some recession challenges over the last 2 to 3 years. I think there's probably 2 driving forces within this for us. One, as a category, nicotine tends to not be particularly subject to market conditions. It tends to kind of run through the cycle one way or another. And then secondly, us as a channel, one of our key compelling USPs to our consumers is that we're generally much more competitively priced than that of offline, which is the vast majority of our competition. So we tend to actually benefit from more challenging economic times where consumers become a little bit more price aware of where they can buy the same product at a material discount. And our operating model is perfectly set up for that. So not only are we somewhat immune to economic downturn because of the category, we often benefit from it because of the operating model and the USPs that we offer to our consumers.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what you do to stay competitive, what the competition looks like, since nicotine pouches that you sell are becoming more and more popular?
Yeah. So for us, the vast majority of our competition is offline stores where people go and pick up some product when they're popping into a convenience store or when they're going to do the grocery shopping, etc. So that is where the vast majority of our competition is. We are by far the leading online player in effectively every market where we are at this point in time. And when it comes to what is it that encourages people to continue migrating from offline to online for this space? I think it's very much a sort of a combination of pricing that I referred to earlier, where we generally offer much better prices than you can get in the offline stores because our setup enables us to do so. And then I think that combined with the broader assortment, where we're able to carry a much broader range of products in our stores than you can in a physical store. And many consumers want to come in and see not just the broader assortment, but also because we carry disproportionately more of the more recent launches to the market as well. It enables people to understand what's coming and try the next generation of products each time. So they are the two of the compelling aspects when it comes to our competitive advantage versus our competition, which, as I say, is predominantly the traditional offline physical stores.
You got some very positive regulatory news from the US quite recently. There's now been discussions within the EU on whether or not to regulate nicotine pouches on the European market. How would that affect you?
Yeah, well, I think we are always huge believers for regulation of this category. This is an adult-only category and should be regulated accordingly as regards to what types of products make it to the market and what marketing should be allowed around those products. We ourselves have self-regulated the market, or self-regulated within the market for many, many years, including having our own product standards where we won't allow products onto the market which have too high a nicotine level, too high an acidity level, etc. And we independently send off all of our products for testing before we were prepared to share those products with our consumers, because we feel a personal responsibility to make sure that what we sell is up to the standards that we determine, even if it is above and beyond that of general regulation. Now, when it comes to regulation coming in across other markets, we would like to see the regulation bring all retailers up to the same standards. So we view this regulation as quite positive. And what we can see within many of our markets, and the EU is not an exception on this, is that we see the principle around risk reduction of using this category as a way to take so many people away from cigarettes towards much, much less harmful products, such as snus or nicotine pouches. We see this principle been adapted by many of the regulators, and we see a strong support for this at an EU level as well. And what we hope we will see, if this continues in the trajectory that it's getting to, is that Sweden, which is about to become the first country in the world to hit the World Health Organization's standard of smoke-free, which is when less than 5% of the adults are smoking, we hope that this category will be able to have that similar experience in many other European and markets outside of Europe, including North America. It should have that impact in many of these markets.
Norway, one of your core markets, there were also news there that they were investigating a ban on online sales of nicotine products. Can you tell us a little bit more what's going on there?
Yeah, there were some headlines around this in 2023. I think there has been perhaps some misunderstanding as regards to what exactly they were referring to, or predominantly referring to in that space. Norway has some other risk-reduced categories, such as vaping, which is not legally allowed within Norway. And the category was starting to get some manifestation when it came to cross-border sales coming in from other countries within Europe. And many of those sales were occurring online. I think the primary concern running through many of the Norwegian regulations was that space. And they had deep concern regarding cross-border sales of nicotine products into Norway. Now, when it comes to our setup in Norway, it's similar to all of our other markets. We have a domestic business within Norway. We have a domestic warehouse. So we only sell Norwegian products from Norway to Norwegian consumers. So we don't participate in that cross-border business going in. So we weren't at the core of what that dynamic was.
And just to sum up, what do you take with you onto the next quarter? What's your plan going forward?
Yeah, so our plan remains consistent here as regards to we're very happy with the geographies we're in. We're very happy with the category performance within those geographies. We continue to encourage consumers to migrate from offline to online. And then as the market leader within online in effectively all of our geographies, we tend to benefit greatly from that. So for us, there's nothing fundamental in that we're going to change from one quarter to the next, in the same way as there hasn't been for many quarters in the past. So I think it's very much a case of maintaining the focus, maintaining a sort of a view of the North Star, and continuing doing what we do, and ideally doing it even better.
Thank you so much, Gavin, for being with us.
My pleasure, Anna. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Och även batteriladdningsbolaget CTEC har rapporterat nu under morgonen. Aktien där rusar 14,5%. Omsättningen i andra kvartalet steg med 6% till över 210 miljoner kronor. Och vi har med oss bolagets vd Henrik Fagrenius 11:30.